Welcome back to Shib Planet. So guys, I've been really excited about getting to see the power of Shibarium burning tokens. And as we know, recently the Shiba Inu team released an intake form and apparently thousands of projects have already registered. And so that got me thinking, I wonder how many of those projects are actually at least partly active at the moment. And I wonder how much Shiba Inu can they actually burn based on their current activity, especially if Shibarium was live right now. And so I sent out a tweet to the community via Twitter and I asked them, can anyone give me a list of any active crypto projects which you know will be building on Shibarium? And some of these responses came almost immediately, with many people listing projects which they know so far. And some went as far as providing really detailed lists, which I'm going to be showing you in today's video. So I wanted to get an idea of what a typical day of burns would look like once Shibarium is live and all the other projects are active. So today we're going to take a look at a random sample of projects who are promising to have at least some sort of activity on Shibarium, and then we're going to calculate their potential burns. And with that, welcome back to Shib Planet, everyone. This is Ace. I've been seeing a ton of Shibarium projects lately, so let's take a preview of how much they could burn. But before I start, this is not an endorsement of any particular project. I'm not an investor in any of them. This is simply an exercise to calculate the potential burns based on current known activity. And now that I've got that out of the way, let's get right to it. So some people sent me a bunch of names and some of them we're already familiar with. Like for example, Poorswap, we do know that one is coming to Shibarium. There's Dogpad Finance. There's someone sent me like a bunch of them. There's all in ERC20 token, Shibarium, I think, which that's the one with Poorswap. There's MetaBet, and some people sent even a bunch of lists, and we're going to be using some of these lists to have a look at some of the tokens which we're going to take in today's sample. And so this is what I did. I took a fairly random sample from the list which I was given, and then I first checked if they currently have some sort of activity like token volume, swap TVL, or game activity. And I found that the easiest thing to do was to simply look for token volume. But my criteria was that the token should have some sort of liquidity on ShibaSwap. And my rationale for that is that it'll likely migrate its liquidity to Shibarium. And so similar volumes should now generate SHIB token burns. And just a few mentions from this list. We'll have Poorswap. There's obviously unification. There's a token called Kennel Locker, Wolf Work, which I've mentioned before. There's not financial advice. This is actually a really good AI project I tweeted about recently, but I won't be covering them today because they don't seem to have their liquidity on ShibaSwap. There's a bunch of other items here like ShibPad, and we'll take a look at these at another time. Okay, project number 1 on the list is Poorswap. Now, this one has been making the headlines recently, and they recently got their market cap to about $80 million recently, and they managed to score a string of exchange listings. And I've already covered these guys in a previous video, so what we'll do right now is we're just going to check on the markets and see if they have any presence on ShibaSwap. And they do have a presence on ShibaSwap, and that's what we're going to be checking out. So with that said, let's jump straight to ShibaSwap analytics. Now, Poorswap is really interesting because it's been having millions of dollars worth of volume in the past month. If I just look on ShibaSwap analytics, over the past month, they've had a big spike in volume due to their marketing, I suppose. And on one particular day, they even had a volume of about 16 million. And, you know, it's been declining with the rest of the market ever since, but that's a really decent amount of volume to be having on ShibaSwap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the volume at the moment. And it looks like over the past 24 hours, they've had about $725,000 worth of volume. And if we look at the fees, that's about $15,000 in fees. So my rationale here is we do know that on any Ethereum-based exchange, fees are about 0.003%. And my rationale, if you've watched my previous video, is that the burn percentage is going to be something really close to this, just so it can stay competitive against other layer 2 dexes. So I would assume that the burn amount would probably be roughly about, you know, about this amount here, $15,000. Now, just for some additional context, we know that Ethereum-based DEXs, they charge about 0.003% for liquidity transaction. For example, like Uniswap and ShibaSwap. So, for example, anyone who swaps about $1,000 worth of Poor token, they would have paid about $3 in fees and probably about $15 in Ethereum gas fees today, and making it a total transaction fee of about $18 just to buy this on Ethereum. And we know that these are the Ethereum gas fees at the moment because according to crypto.com, the chain tracker, the price for swaps at the moment on Ethereum ranges anywhere from about $9 on the low end to about $16 on the upper end. This is per swap transaction. But on a layer 2, we do know that the gas fees will be substantially less than $1. And I'm betting that the burn percentage is going to be very similar to the LP fees, just so that Shibarium and ShibaSwap remain competitive relative to other competing L2s. So basically, $1,000 swap of this token would probably cost about $5 or $6 on Shibarium, and a $100 swap would be about 50 to 60 cents. And that's a massive difference compared to what it would be on Ethereum, which would be close to $18 for the $1,000 one. But what we're really interested in is the burns. So basically that $15,000 we saw before divided by the current price of SHIB at the moment, which is about 10,500 units, gives us about 1.5 billion SHIB tokens, which would have been burned at the rate which I calculated. And if you want to find out more about the most likely burn percentage, in my opinion, I did a whole video case study on Shibarium burns, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. And I really recommend that you guys watch that one if you haven't already, because it's really the foundation to today's burn simulation. So the next one we're going to look at is Wolf.io, which is promising to be a freelancer marketplace on Shibarium. We've covered these guys before. So according to ShibaSwap, they don't really have that much in volume. Only about $1,000 in volume at the moment. So if we look at their 24-hour trading volume, according to ShibaSwap, it says they had about $17,000 in 24-hour volume, which is about $51 in fees. And if that is close to the burn percentage, that's only about 4 million Shiba Inu tokens burned. So next, let's take a look at MBet, which is going to be a Web3 casino which runs on layer 2s. And they intend to link to Shibarium as well. So if we just have a look at their details, according to their volume charts, they've been having a decent amount of volume over the past half of the month, with their top day being about $435,000 in volume, which is pretty decent for a new token. So let's see what they've done in the past 24 hours. It looks like they've had about $300,000 over the past 24 hours, which has yielded about $211 in fees. And at my estimated burn percentage, that's about 20 million SHIB tokens which would have been burnt according to this. And the next one we'll look at is the Kennel token. I've seen a bit of activity on this one on Twitter, and so far it looks like their biggest day of volume. I can't trust the volume on ShibaSwap all the time, because sometimes it does really big amounts, but it looks like they've had about $8,000 in volume on the 9th of March, and over the past 24 hours, about 2.8 in 24-hour volume, which is only about $23, and that's about 2 million SHIB tokens burnt over the past 24 hours. And just for good measure, I'm going to throw in the Bone token, as we know that's going to be the main gas fee for Shibarium. There's tons of liquidity on Shibarium for the Bone token. And if we look at their volume over the past month, they've had a lot of ups and downs, with the biggest day being about $13.5 million worth of volume. And at the moment, they've had about just shy of $1 million worth of volume. So we're going to see if we're going to base our 24-hour burn calculation based on that. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Over the past 24 hours, it looks like ShibaSwap says they've had about 2.9 over the past 24 hours, and $8,884 worth of 24-hour fees. So if that's close to the burn amount, I've calculated that is a little shy of 1 billion tokens. It's about 850 million SHIB tokens, which would have been burnt from the Bone token alone in the past 24 hours. And mind you, this is a really bad day for volume all across crypto at the moment. because of the recent incidents with Silvergate and all these other things affecting the crypto market. So we'll take a look at Xfund. I know a lot of people like Xfund. There's quite a lot of liquidity has dropped from Xfund at the moment, but we're interested in the 24-hour volume. Generally across the month, this token has had about a top of about $244 million worth of volume. Over the past 24 hours, ShibaSwap claims that we've had 570 worth of trading volume, and that seems to have about $58 million worth of 24-hour volume, and that seems to have about $175,000 worth of fees. And I think the reason why it says minus here, I did notice that there's a big drop in liquidity. So you get charged fees anytime you enter liquidity fees, liquidity positions, or if you exit them. And actually, liquidity positions actually have a lot higher gas fees than just swaps. Like if a swap at the moment is about $15, a liquidity position could be anywhere close to $30. So that's why you're seeing that the fees are a lot higher over here. But we don't really care about the fees that much. But what we care about is what the burn equivalent of this amount would be, and it's actually pretty massive. That's about 16 billions with a B SHIB tokens, which would have been burnt over the past 24 hours just with the activity on the Xfund token. And just out of interest, I wanted to take a look at ShibaSwap as a whole. As a whole, they've got masses of liquidity, of about 24 in TVL at the moment. And ShibaSwap has obviously tons of volume across all its tokens, with the biggest day being about $82 million worth of volume on that one given day on the 6th of March. And I calculated that that amount of volume would probably give close to 20 billion with a B SHIB token burns based on the burn percentage, which is equivalent to the liquidity positions, which we calculated before. So anyway, I've only looked at about 5 or 6 projects at the moment, and most of these have claimed to have some direct or indirect use of Shibarium. According to my very rough calculations, they would have burned at least about 2, maybe 2.5 billion SHIB tokens over the past 24 hours from ShibaSwap trading volume alone. And that's just those 4 or 5 tokens which I picked. And today is actually a really bad day for crypto because most of the trading volumes are at their monthly lows. But I like this graphic here, which I found on Twitter. I think it came from these guys here, Shibarium Pad. It really shows a nice snapshot of the projects which are currently building on Shibarium. And some of them we've talked about already, and some of you guys would have seen them. For example, Wolfwork, and I think Dogpad Finance. And if you look on Twitter, you can see there's quite a bunch of them. Now, this doesn't take into account these applications actually running on Shibarium. It's just their token volume. Now, can you imagine when they actually start processing transactions with their respective applications? For example, Poorswap, which we know is a DEX, they have a really large following at the moment, and their DEX is going to be competing directly against ShibaSwap in terms of TVL and transactions, but most importantly, they're going to be burning SHIB tokens because they're built directly on Shibarium. And remember, Shytoshi said that the recent Shibarium intake has actually thousands of submissions from projects, so it's theoretically possible that we could start seeing tens of billions of burns per day at some point in time. And that's why I'm gonna start actively supporting any legitimate project which is actively building applications on Shibarium, because I do believe that this is what decentralization on the Shiba Inu ecosystem is going to look like. And more importantly, we're going to finally start to see the massive continual burns which Shytoshi promised us. Now, I can't speak to the legitimacy of any of these projects. You know, I've only skimmed through them. There's a good possibility that some, if not most of them, are going to be, you know, scams or even rug pulls. But for the start, it's really good to see some activity and some interested development which is going to be happening on Shibarium. And so if I roughly annualize the potential burns across all the projects, I would be surprised if we're not burning anywhere from 5 to anywhere up to 20 billion SHIB tokens a day. And if I annualize that, that can be anywhere from about 3.5 to even up to 20 trillion a year, which is a really good start in my opinion. And let me know if you guys know any legitimate projects which are currently building on Shibarium. And if you like the way I cover the Shiba Inu ecosystem, the best way you can continue to support this channel is by simply hitting the like button and also leaving a comment. Those two actions will help share quality Shiba Inu content with the community. And once again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Ace. Peace.